What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Scarlet Great here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us here in Hate Week, Rivalry Week. And for Rivalry Week, for Hate Week, we're going to break all the rules today. I'm going to bring on a famous fan from that team up north on this Buckeye channel, so you get to hear from the enemy. Usually, we like to keep the enemy at a distance and just, let it all implode and explode on Saturday. But I want to, what they say, keep your enemies close. So we are going to bring on James T. Yoder, Chatfort's founder, all-time elite Michigan troll. We're going to bring him on, get his thoughts on the game, ask a few questions, have a little fun back and forth, and see what that team up north is bringing to the table and unpack this game. Those of you who I like to say this is the guy, those of you who are fans of the movie M. Night Shyamalan's The Village, this is the guy we do not speak of, but we're still going to have him on. And as they say in the movie, do your very best not to scream. Before we get into the show, I just want to ask a quick favor. Help us get to 4,000 subscriptions by the end of the season. Excuse me. You helped us blow past 3,500. And that is awesome for our first season doing this on YouTube. Help us blow past that 4,000 mark and really do something special here so we can continue to give you great Buckeye content. And I am getting a call, actually. That is Yoder's special ringtone. That's Yoder on the mic. And let's go ahead and bring him in. James T. in the flesh. You sounded good, buddy.
Is that the people kind of sitting around the living room, the group of fraternity house? That's the
acapella group. Yeah, that's Broccoli Jim and the Harmony.
That's interesting. So we got like a stuck up hair here randomly because I was wearing a headset for the last hour and a half doing our live college football playoff show. But nevertheless, I'm rocking. I'm the daddy of NIL, name, image, and likeness king. So Whippler, you are heading to the house that Harbaugh, Yoder, and J.J. McCarthy built, three J's, and Whippler he's got another thing coming on Saturday.
Yeah, he's probably 100 air now with your help. He's probably made
thousand. He made thousands.
He's 1,000 air now.
Yeah, 1,000 air.
Well, all right. Well, James, those of you who don't know, I'm not going to give you an intro because if you don't know, you should know and figure it out yourself. Google it, but be careful about what you read on the internet. I will. James will tell you, Abe Lincoln said it best. Don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But James, you're an epic Buckeye troll, so much so that I love it. I respect it. My boss even, I moved to Cleveland for this new job. My boss ends up telling me, hey, I follow this one Michigan guy. Find out it's you. So then I had to get a new job. Obviously, I couldn't stay there. But you grew up in an undisclosed location in Ohio, and I just got to know, were you always a troll? Like high school James in Ohio, were you always a troll? Before it was called a troll, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I was honestly just thinking about grew up and was in middle school and high school, the late 90s, etc. I remember like printing off like things from AOL.com. You can get like the record head to head and all that stuff, and like taping it to my friends' lockers on Michigan Ohio State week. And it was a glorious time to be growing up as like one of the very few Michigan fans, although there were a lot of bandwagon Michigan fans in middle school and high school that now 20 years later, they're like, oh, I'm an Ohio State diehard. You know how that kind of works with the rivalry switching. I'm sure the state of Michigan has a ton of Ohio State fans like that. So from a troll perspective, at least like embracing the rivalry, absolutely. And maybe it's just in my DNA because I lived in San Francisco for 5.5, 6 years during the Cavs Warriors titles back and forth, and I would just love to rub it into the faces of all my friends and family when the Warriors would win. Now they stuck it to me in 2016, but whatever.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm not a Cavs fan, so I was actually really rubbing any Cavs or LeBron fan, faces in it whenever the Warriors were dominating. So I was right there with you. And you're probably around the same age as me. You probably middle school when Michigan really dominated heavily in the 90s. You get up into high school in the early 2000s when things start to switch. And then you've been sad ever since. Adulthood makes us sad for different reasons, I guess.
Yeah, it's a really interesting experience to be a Michigan fan, because you get these years like 16 and 18 and this year and hell 2006. I know it seems like a long time ago, but every single time you go in, you convince yourself it's a win and you're going to beat these sons of bitches. I swear, 2006, 2016, I'm like, hey, I need to save my money for the national title game or the CFP of the national title game. I'm not going to go to Columbus, etc., which I probably should have. Those were better games. I finally pulled the trigger, in 2018, went to that one. I was at a bar like on campus, rocking Michigan, everything, with all Ohio State fans. I'll say this, very nice people, bad reputation they get on the internet. I thought it was a very cordial crowd. 2018, and we all know what happened. I went to try and get beer midway through the third quarter. All they find out that, hey, beer had stopped being served. I'm in line. It's like Shea throws an interception, block punt, a one-score game turns into a 20-point game. I never went back to my seat. I just sat there underneath the stadium watching the game on TV and then just walked away in shame.
That was a good year to go for you because, even on our show, I even picked the Wolverines that year. So you braved that was a good pick, but, it didn't turn out your way. And then Ohio State seemed to kind of really that was the year to me where I was just like, I don't think the Wolverines can do it. Like, they had the better team and they got blown out. But, since then, the team's been up and down. Awful year last year, weird circumstances. This year, I know you're a man of the driving revenue and clicks and everything to your site and to your hoodies that you're championing there.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm just selling things,
But you seem genuinely proud of this team. Are you really actually proud of this team? Or, are you kind of like, I miss the days. We're the all-time winningest program, and I still want to get to the mountaintop.
Look, you approach this year, you go through December and January last year, and I was just 6-6 season at the absolute best. This team is a disaster, a nightmare, and they won that first game. Like, okay, cool. And then Washington sucks, and they lose to Montana. Okay, and every single week you go through, and it's like, they surprise you at every turn, and they look competent, right? Last year, right, on neither side of the ball, they look competent. So I would say I'm proud that Harbaugh, something in him clearly changed. I could maybe talk a little about some things I think that happened there, but he took a big pay cut. He looked like a schmuck, frankly. He took a big pay cut. He got a new salary, half the money. And he's, through back channels, people say, oh, Jim's telling the AD he's going to bet on himself. What a bet, right, he made. And even if they lose this game, I'll call it. And you're going to say, James, you're an idiot, whatever. I'll call it a successful season as long as 62-39 doesn't happen again, right? If it's respectable, if it's in the fourth quarter, one-score game, 10-2 after 2-4, and we both know it probably would have been 100-2 last year had the game been played, I'll take it, right?
Yeah, I will say two things real quick. This will not be 62-39. Because that team ain't putting up 39 on anybody. Well, boom, roasted. And then two, this is like, take a page out of your book and just state the facts, no matter how bad they sting. Michigan was a 2-win team last season. 2-win team. I thought Jim Harbaugh had lost the team forever and was down in the pits of mediocrity forever. And I was a little shocked. Not that I think this is a juggernaut of a team, but 10 wins at least. I think that's a huge victory. But I know for a fact there's one thing you're not proud of. Explain to me your relationship with one Joshua Gattis.
Me personally, or Michigan fans?
You, because I don't care look, you're probably the most realist team up north fan there is. You'll call it like you see it. Yep. I'm sure you can find a bunch of them on the internet that love the guy. I saw you tweet the infomercial gif the other day of somebody dropping, fumbling 30 white people in infomercials type deal. Yep. So what's the deal? Are you and Josh not boys anymore?
So he was a guy, and I'll tell you this. It's funny. The internet's a funny place because I have developed, me and you, right? We're a good example. Relationship of people. It goes from replies to DMs to like, oh, now I talk to this person. And that was Gattis, right? He, I don't know if he was lonely or mad, but 2019 season, Michigan coming back, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Shea Patterson, Charbonnet, Nico Collins. You thought, and 5 linemen who got drafted, right? You thought it was going to be this all-time offense. They were absolute dog shit through 6-7 games. And I had said the word Josh Gattis on camera more than any person alive at that point. And I was big Gattis. Oh, Gattis, this and that. And he started DMing me. And I hope he doesn't. I hope this isn't bad to say now at this point. But like telling me that my takes were wrong. And I'm not even joking, a couple of times he like videotaped his screen, right, at Michigan's thing. And so we went back and forth, et cetera. And so I started to be like, okay, cool. He's in the circle of trust. I'll lay off him for a little bit. But last year I started giving the business and we DM'd a couple of times. And let me just say this without throwing anybody under the bus. And he has these screenshots so he can, that's his prerogative. Let's just say we got to a point last year where there was a DM exchange that was very uncordial. And that
How dare he? How dare he?
Both ways. And the blinders came off, right? If you're in the circle of trust, I don't care if you throw 6 interceptions, I got your back, right? Once he's out of the circle of trust, then the truth tree comes out. And I think for what he sold Michigan fans on, and they put this whole PR campaign that was frankly embarrassing after the 2018 season, speed and space, this and that, it doesn't exist. And anyone who's watched every snap of Michigan over the last 6 years with Harbaugh, 7 years, or anything of Jim Harbaugh prior to Michigan, knows that Josh Gattis has absolutely zero say in the general philosophy of this offense. So the way I approach it now is he's figurehead only, and this is his last regular season game as a Michigan football coach.
But you still give him the blame when things aren't going well, because it seems like he has Harbaugh's play sheet. Maybe he gets to decide when to call the certain things. Now, I would have rewind. That actually was, this is more interesting than I thought it was. You said he sent a screenshot of a Michigan screen. What was he trying to disprove you on?
I was just going over on a show. This is probably after like one of the first 3 or 4 games of 2019 of how Michigan just does not run explosive plays, right? And I kind of put up a chart of like plays over 10 yards, plays over 20 yards through the first 4 games, compared them to Ohio State, compared them to Alabama, Georgia. And he basically sent me like, I'm not even joking, it was like 5:42 a.m., right? My time, so pre-7 a.m. Eastern. And it was like him with the clicker and like clicking on somebody with a laser pointer on a guy who was open 28 yards downfield, and either the quarterback didn't hit him or the guy dropped the ball or something like that. And it was like, the plays are there. We're just not kind of a thrown under the bus. I don't think he meant it like that, but a little bit, when someone is with, I don't say we've got the biggest audience, but on YouTube, we're pretty influential. And
it's almost like a hat tip that he thought enough of your show and stuff to respond to you.
Yeah. I mean, I've been after guys graduate, I've developed relationships. I got a good relationship like the Patterson family, etc. Unfortunately and fortunately, I get talked about frequently at Schembechler Hall, very positively and very negatively, right? And there's definitely an anti-Yoder contingent inside that building.
Well, that's to me, because we know how Harbaugh and company run that official press pass room. The fact to me that they won't say your name publicly in a good light is a testament to you, because that just means you tell the truth. That just doesn't mean you don't let them tell you what to say. So I've always said that, that's a hat tip, Yoder. That's how you can actually trust him to give you some truth. I don't have any cool stories like that on my side. All I can say is Ryan Day does follow me on Twitter. I woke up one day, checked my notifications, and I'm like sleepy-eyed, like, what? Is this real? And you know how I know he never gets on Twitter? Because he hasn't unfollowed me in like 2 years, and I say some stupid stuff just to get reactions. He hasn't unfollowed. So that's how I know he never gets on Twitter. But James, I do want to move on to this, the actual game. I think you would agree, talent for talent, a little bit outmatched, the Wolverines are. But this is a game with the rivalry that it should be a dogfight. It should just be who wants it more, and it can get ugly enough. It's at home for the Wolverines. So how do they win? What does a Wolverines win look like?
I mean, it starts off with Charles Woodson's being honored pregame, and I think he's going to get a chance to have a couple speeches to the team. It doesn't hurt. It can only help. Woodson gives the speech. He went 3-0. And there's one other thing working in Michigan's favor from that, like nostalgia. Ohio State jumps to number 2. Everybody remembers where Ohio State was ranked in 95 and 96, Woodson's freshman, sophomore year, ranked number 2, undefeated, then undefeated this year. Michigan gets those wins. If Ohio State was number 1, I wouldn't have any confidence. Number 3, no confidence. Number 2, that's a faulty position for Ohio State to be in.
Hats off to the Chat Sports intern that fed you that. That was really good.
That's all up here, baby. Believe me. And then it really comes down to one thing. It comes down to the defensive ends for Michigan, right? If Ohio, you go back to Rashawn Gary, Chase Winovich. It's similar talent in some ways. Maybe these guys will get drafted a little bit higher. But you've got 2 defensive ends that are among the best, then maybe 10 in the country. These guys might be 2 of the best 3 or 4 and 5 in the country. If they can hit Coleridge, Michigan can win, because I take shots at him. He's having a remarkable season, an unbelievable game last year. But I do still think there's something realistically, not trolling, not joking, to be said. When you get hit in the cold, it hurts just a couple seconds longer than when you get hit in the warm.
Especially when you're from California.
Exactly. California, the beach, the sun. I look into his eyes. He's got a little bit of, damn, it's cold. I want to go inside. When I see him in just like the 40-degree weather, all right? So it's going to be about freezing temperature kickoff. It should get up to about 35, 36 by halftime or so. I hope it's worse. Michigan can hit him. You can change the ball game, right? And that's what it really, really is going to come down to. If he can't, we're looking at 62-25 or something like that, because you guys have upgraded the receiving room by 2. I obviously know Olave is still on there from a few years ago. He scored a couple touchdowns in both 18 and 19, or 2 and 1, whatever it was. But you add Jackson Smith and Jigba. You add what's his name?
Garrett Wilson's been catching passes since 18. Yeah.
It's a whole nother stratosphere. And I think Ryan Day continues to be a better play caller, and maybe he was held back by Urban in 2017 and 2018. But it's just getting, more impressive as we go along.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And, maybe Buckeyes, if you're paying attention, get CJ some Nike Pro Combat Cold gear, since it's a Nike school. Wear those sleeves underneath and get him warmed up. And yeah, he's a guy that sometimes when the pressure mounts, it's still unknown. He's young, right? But man, if he gets going, it is your little brothers, as it were, know the hard way what happens when that guy starts cooking. So I want to ask you this: what does scare you the most about this Buckeye team?
Ryan Day has had this ability to call the right plays at the right time in most situations. Clearly, they lost to Oregon, and maybe that wasn't the right play call. I don't know, when CJ, I think he threw an interception in the game, if I recall. I go back 2000. If you just think about 2002 to present, like kind of the 2001 even, right? 2001. I've got a really photogenic memory. Marquise Walker, Michigan's down 20-0 at halftime. He drops a end zone pass, 25, 30 yards out. He is wide open. Ball goes through his hands. Michigan would have tied the ball game up. I think they had to settle for a field goal, lost the game. 2002, Michigan's driving down, and they throw an interception in the end zone when they're trying to win the game. Ohio State goes undefeated, national championship. 2005, your local state representative, your state congressman, Gonzalez, goes out of bounds, should have been called out of bounds to the flag. I think he went out of bounds. That's the year. Makes that catch. Ohio State wins. Every single year they make the plays, and Michigan doesn't make the plays when it comes down to it, outside of the last 2 blowouts. And what those blowouts, come down to is Michigan will start keying on something, and then, okay, we're going to stop Travion Henderson. Let's say that's the thing this year, because he's broke off a couple 10-yarders. Boom, there goes Olave, 25 yards up the seam for a touchdown, untouched, and he runs the 25, 50-yard touchdown. So he has had a really good, elite, unbelievably elite way to manage a game that Jim Harbaugh to date has not managed. Harbaugh wins with brute strength and just performance, but I don't know how many times Harbaugh's actually won with strategy.
Yeah, that's a good point. The bully ball thing is a little played out, and you can see this is definitely not speed and space. This is Harbaugh's dream, right? Just pounding away and getting home. And yeah, you're right. The Buckeyes, Ryan Day's a fantastic play caller. I do think it's advantage, maybe not advantage, good thing for Michigan, though, that it's not Don Brown's 2 looks on defense, blitz or blitz harder. That Ryan Day has to try to combat, right? So you'll have a little bit different look there, but he's also really good at adjusting on halftime. And I think you hit the nail on the head. The keys for the Wolverine victory. Obviously, we know the Ohio State defense isn't great, but they're okay at stopping the run.
Mhm.
How are you going to do it when you get 7 offensive linemen? You got guys pulling all over like you're the Baltimore Ravens. That will be interesting to see, how the Buckeyes do combat that. I want to close with this, James. I don't think Aidan Hutchison can get drafted very highly because his arms are too skinny. From a big, beefy defensive line, I'm thinking John Simon or Joey Bosa or Nick Bosa. He looks like he may as well be me out there with a sleeveless shirt. Good player. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but how are you going to sit there and beg to your GM, bring me this guy? Oh, what's he look? Oh, man, his arms are a little skinny. Do you think maybe you can get him on the Yoder workout routine and beef him up before the draft?
Look, nobody's got biceps like me, so he can get close, but not necessarily achieve that. I don't. It hasn't been a problem because of that first step.
He's very quick.
I think I compare him to, everyone likes to make fun of Rashawn Gary, who takes shots at Michigan because of the number 1 recruit. He turned out to be a top 15 pick, but didn't really perform in Michigan. The amount of plays that Hutchinson has made, not necessarily this season, or I'm sorry, not last season. He was played 3 games and got hurt, but 2019 and 2021. He makes more plays in one game than Rashawn Gary would make in an entire season. He's very much like Chase Winovich with more talent. He's a lot faster off the ball. It does remind me, I know we make the joke about being the third Bosa brother, but like he does, when I used to watch the Bosas of Ohio State, I'd be like, Jesus, this guy, the ball is snapped and he's already on the quarterback, and that's Winovich. Jabo is kind of, much very similar to him in that regard. And this is not a player, Jabo, that anyone was expecting this from. So, we'll see if they can make it. If they get stopped by Ohio State's offensive line and they're just not factors in this game, then it was another September, October Michigan hype party, and they didn't come to play. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to knock them if Michigan loses this game, but if they don't come to play and they don't make one game impacting play, that's a sack, that's a strips fumble, that's a big tackle for a loss, or forcing Coleridge to throw an interception because he's trying to get out of the pocket, not running like Tom Brady did or anything like that. He refuses to run. Then, hey, cool, good career, great job. Impacted, helped Michigan win, but he's really got. There's a lot of pressure. Like the entire Michigan fan base's future happiness is relying on these 2 defensive ends making enough impactful plays that give Michigan's fairly pedestrian, but sometimes exciting. It was exciting this past week. Offense score 35, 38 points if they can. They've only scored 30 plus once during Harbaugh's 5 games against Ohio State. And that was in the, hey, we're down by 40. Might as well just throw the ball up to Nico Collins. That was in 2018. So Michigan has not put up points against Ohio State, no matter what, the Buckeyes are doing on offense. So we'll see. One thing to note about Hutchison, very underreported fact that no one is talking about except for us right now. His mom is beyond hot, right? She is a smoke show. She's about 43 years old from what I could tell, just based on when she graduated college. She is straight up beautiful. I'm talking about a wonderful one. So she is the next. Quote me not, April come the NFL draft. She will be the mom. Everyone will be Google. I'm starting to get my SEO juice on there. I'm going to put out a video like draft week. That's a 50,000 viewer coming my way. She is wildly gorgeous woman. I am surprised there's not been more chat.
She should just be on every Chat Sports thumbnail, every video that you guys partner with. She should be on there if she's that good looking.
He has the show. He did. Aidan Hutchison did the Bussin' with the Boys with Taylor Lewan and that other guy. Yeah. And one of them, like the mom quote tweeted it, and they quote tweeted her. He got straight up mad. He was like, don't say a single word about my mom or something.
I am going to.
Yeah,
I'm going to get a hold of Paris Johnson, or not Paris Johnson, and Nicholas Petit-Frere and DeJuan Jones right now and be like, dude, did you know Aidan's mom is hot? You better let him hear about it.
Yeah, well, it could be to their detriment. He got pretty defensive about it, but just throw it in there. There's a little humor to kind of get through the week. We've got 4 days left of the game.
Yeah.
It'll be an exciting one. I hope you don't see me in shambles, which I will be. If they win, though, Johnny, I'm going to tell you this. It will be the year of Yoder. You guys will never stop hearing from me. If the Michigan loses, I'll probably delete my Twitter account for about a month.
Yeah. I'll have to, if you remember back when Wisconsin boat raced Michigan a couple years ago, I uploaded just the video of me laughing at you on Twitter. I'll have to do that again. Mm-hmm. So we've learned a lot today. We've learned about Josh Gattis and his sensitivities with James Yoder. We've learned about Aidan Hutchinson's skinny arms, his hot mom, and lots of offside penalties from trying to jump the snap called by James Yoder. James Yoder predicts the Buckeyes win due to offside penalties due to the Michigan defensive end. James, I hope you have an awesome Thanksgiving and an absolutely dreadful weekend. Thanks for coming on.
You as well. Terrible weekend.
All right.